Fiction and reality. New stories, new ideas. Little Beth Entertainment.
Welcome to episode 97 of The Rocketry Show, a show that is all about high power and advanced technology rocketry. In this episode, we'll dive deep into my rocket flight computer and telemetry system as I prepare for the next test launch. Jesse is one step closer to his next level of certification, and Gheem updates us on his rocketry activities. Stick around, The Rocketry Show starts right after this. Stay close.
The Rocketry Show would like to thank the following patrons for their support: Todd West, Matt Tudor, Les Rayburn, Steven Spencer, Bill Cook, Jason Cook, Gary Rosenfield, Greg Ziegler, Toby Vanderbeek, Ken Blade, Eric Hamilton, John Beans, Scott Holla, Guy Wadsworth, Phil P., Tom Rum, Jeff Cotties, Stephen Ray, Amanda Ho, Steve Sainer, Mark, railbuttons.com. If you wish to show your support and become a patron of The Rocketry Show, just visit us at patreon.com/TheRocketry Show.
Going up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff.
From Little Beth Media, a new podcast on model rocketry, with build techniques, model rocket history, interviews with industry insiders, stuff for beginners and longtime model rocketeers, everything from low to mid-power. The Model Rocket Show, with me, the Rocket Noob, at TheRocketryShow.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
Welcome to The Rocketry Show.
All right, liftoff and the clock is started. Yes, sir. Reading loud and clear.
A podcast that is all about advanced and high-power rocketry. Amateur-built rockets, starting at mid-power to higher-power versions. This program is hosted by the team who loves the smell of burning rocket propellant in the morning. Here are CG, Gheem, and model rocket guy, Jesse Yu.
Welcome to another edition of The Rocketry Show at TheRocketryShow.com. I'm CG.
I'm Gheem.
And I'm model rocket guy, Jesse Yu.
Alrighty, and we are here. It's a workshop episode, and we're going to be talking about projects we've been working on and so much more. Well, I guess not much more than that. It's just going to be what we're working on, which is plenty.
A lot.
I'm tired.
Yeah, just tired reviewing what's going on, huh?
Oh, no, from doing the work. You got to put in that work to get that goal. And
Yeah, exactly.
I'm tired.
Got to lay down for a nap, old man.
Yeah, pretty much, guys. Got to get that rest.
So,
Anyway.
Yeah.
So who's doing something? What's going on? Who wants to start off?
Well, I know who can start off. Let me ask you guys a question. It looks like you guys had a demo 2 on August 30th. Who wants to talk about that? I see pictures of both CG and Gheem doing some work. What was happening there, guys?
All right. So before we delve into that in particular, I have to go back and kind of go over some details. Now, I've been talking about what I've been doing in relation to the flight computer that I'm working on. And that's all part of a bigger goal, which is within the next year and a half, 2 years or so, is to have a level 2 rocket and certify on level 2. And so I want to certify using, at least for one of the flight computers, my design, and have full telemetry and what's going on it for later flights when you're punching up a couple miles and you can't see it. So that's what that's all about. So the last couple of flights that I've had testing this out, I've been labeling them demo, a series of demo flights or test flights, which is basically demonstrating the feasibility of this flight computer and working out the kinks, whatever may come up, and get it to the point where it's ready to go for its mission. So there's been 2 flights so far. One I've talked about with Mr. Bean, where it was just a straight up flight to see if the stuff worked. And I think where I left off on the last episode that I was seeing some anomalies with the altitude. And I determined that The barometric pressure sensor, I must have cooked it, learning how to mount it onto the board because this is the first time I'm doing surface mount stuff. So over temperaturing, the unit just threw the calibration off on it. And it was off by just a little bit when I was testing it, just, within, a few feet, it looked fine. But there's a little error in it. So that if you got anywhere like starting at about 100, 200 feet or so in altitude, that error would skew things enough where it was becoming significant. So as a result, the height that we got on that day we launched it, where I think Andrew I think he rattled off like 1,240 some feet for that first flight. I'm not looking at my notes right now. It turned out it was actually like 200-300 feet off. So by that point. And I found that out because something just didn't add up. And I just started running tests and I came up with ways to test those, pull enough of a vacuum to pull it up where it's at least a couple thousand feet or so. And I would put in a commercially available altimeter in that same test bay and compare it what they did. And that's when I saw that the one commercial one was always up by at least 200 or 300 feet. And and as I put different ones that I built 3 different units. So 2 of them were off, but they're off by different amounts. And the third one, which is the last one I built, where I got really good at getting that thing to solder onto the board, was dead on with the others. But by then, I've already changed the design to a different barometric pressure sensor, thinking that there was a problem with it. So I ran with the new barometric pressure sensor. So rolling in the demo 2, there were a couple things going on. One was just kind of verifying that pressure sensor worked and everything still functioned as normal. But then, and that was all it was going to be. It was just one where I just hacked in a new barometric pressure sensor and into an existing board. But during that time since I did that, I got the new boards in with the new footprint for the barometric pressure sensor. But those boards also had the pads for the MOSFETs to be on the board. I used some nice high amperage MOSFETs, dual channel, to do dual deploy with it. And so so that was ready, and I was running through the test, and that board was just passing with flying colors left and right. Everything I threw at it, it was great. So here we are, Thursday, the launch is Saturday. And I'm looking at this board going, I could fly and just do this simple verification of the barometric pressure sensor, or I can swap this board into it and do that same verification with the barometric pressure sensor, which I'm sure is fine because at this point I threw everything at it, and also throw in dual deploy, and that
all up.
That gave demo 2, which is the second flight, the all up status, because now I'm testing a major thing as well as a bunch of other minor things, not the least of which is the software code connections to make dual deploy happen. And for me, that's a scary thing because once you hit the button and that rocket's on its own,
turning back.
The electronics in my code have to work. There's nothing I can do about it, at that point, but watch.
So let's rewind a little bit and let's make sure that everybody understands that when you're talking about boards, you're actually talking about printed circuit boards.
Yes, right? My design, yes.
And can you tell me where you get those, or like how you even go about getting your design on a board so that you can start putting on the MOSFETs and all the electronics that are entailed in that?
Okay, so my background with the electronic stuff goes all the way back to when I was a kid. So I've been building, hand wiring my own circuits, usually with audio stuff, since I was a teenager.
That's impressive, man. That's really cool stuff. I just need you to understand how cool this actually is.
Why, thank you.
I can't solder up anything. And he's sitting there with these little micro connections,
Yeah, and let's go forward a little bit. I mean, you get, you have a ton of manufacturers, right? Well, not a ton, but we have a handful of manufacturers in rocketry where you can assemble your own pieces, and there's some guys that get hired out to do that work. But where you're designing and putting this stuff together, like I'm truly interested. Where do you get these boards, and like how did that come into fruition? I guess.
Okay, so basically, when after I came up with a circuit design, which these boards are kind of built around like commercially available microprocessor kits and that's going to be the next iteration of this printed circuit board, is having a microprocessor on the board and the commercial and those kits go away, and it's just going to be a microprocessor on the circuit board with its pins.
Got it.
That's where it's leading. But right
So
now,
your Raspberry Pi, your basic, little hobby kit thing. Right.
yeah, Atmel 328P microprocessors.
Wow.
So yeah, so as I come up with what I want to do, I use software, my Eagle software, to do the schematics, and that's all part of things I've been doing by hand since I was a kid. And then what's wonderful about today, in this era that we live in, and in many ways, it makes me wish that I was like born a little bit later, so I can be like 20 years old getting into this now. but I'm an old fart right now, getting into this wonderful time period.
Yeah, but we got to see everything.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
We lived Atari and Nintendo, man, so we have all that.
I don't remember the 80s, but I know it was a good time.
Sorry. Anyway.
I was a teenager through the 80s. But anyway. So that's a wonderful thing is you've got software, you can design it if you know how to use it and know the design rules for this stuff, which I've learned over the years. You can lay out your own board in software. And in today's world where everything is digital and everything is made out of China,
sure,
you can hire a board house out there and send off your design and get small batch runs back for pretty cheap.
Wow.
Which is awesome.
Yes. And
that is super cool.
And I had no idea that was going on until I stumbled across it. I was like, what? Because the last time I looked into that, and the reason everything has been hand built for me for years was because you couldn't do things like that without a run of,
5,000.
Yeah, 5,000 and some astronomical $50,000 tooling charge and all that just to make your board. And so it was kind of like, well, screw that noise. I'll just hand build what I need to do. And
so that takes away from Doc Brown's big, transistor that he made on top of the Back to the Future car in episode, which one was that, episode 2 or whatever, Back to the Future. So you don't have to do that anymore. You're able to get them to actually kind of retrofit something that you can use for your preliminary design, and then that goes to the microprocessor stage.
Yes.
Guys, that is super cool.
Yeah. And
right.
And all the ways of doing this and all that is things I've been watching for years at the various companies I've worked for, and including the last one, with Telos, where you got the, sit around while a product went from an idea to, prototyping PC boards and, hang out with the folks doing the board layouts and, learn all the tips and tricks from them. So by the time I got there, I guess, I pretty much know what to do. I can just, do this. So that's how the
email something and get a board.
Right, exactly. Email the files out. Wait about a week, and a little truck pulls up in front of my house and drops the package off, and I've got a run of 10 of them in there.
Oh wow,
nice.
And I hand build it from there. There's no components on it. I hand build, lay out the components, and I've upgraded my electronics workshop with the right tools to be able to solder on surface mount components and things. So.
Yeah, and just to be clear, Jesse, I don't have any part of this other than to help support here and there. I've just been watching it for years, now, and so it's an honor to be part of the ground crew for this whole project, right? So I've thoroughly enjoyed being able to help when I can.
So I'm kind of having fun interviewing you both, and CG. Before we start talking about mission control, what other attributes led up to you guys doing this launch for this validation?
Well, the big thing is, as I'm doing, you mean in history or just for this particular run?
Well, yeah. I mean, history. I mean, you're obviously trying to do this as your road to level. Your road to level 2, right? But yes. I mean, in having these boards created, getting all these microprocessor, calling pre-setups done, you're doing the testing with this run of these little circuit boards, right? Yes. Okay. So then your last test that you did was on August 30th?
Yes.
And what were you testing again on that?
Okay, so on August 30th, it was testing out the new barometric pressure sensor on the board and also doing a full dual deploy. It's a single deploy of the dual deploy function in flight, as well as that board, which is, let's see, this is flight computer, I think 5, is it? Yes.
Wow. Okay.
This is 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is block 5, if you will.
Block 5. Okay.
Yeah. So the block 1 was hand built, which was supposed to fly first, just before I went into production with a board, and that never flew because of the COVID delays. And I moved on and had 2 more iterations of the boards. Those 2 didn't fly, but they were, testing and all that. So it wasn't until board 4 that actually went up in the air, and that was in demo 1.
Got it. Okay.
And then board 4 was supposed to fly 2 flights on board 4 and then switch to board 5.
Okay.
And board 5 was ready, essentially, I would say ahead of time, but it's not, because everything is running in slow motion because of COVID. So,
Sure.
So my development is outpacing the testing of it. But what demo 1 showed me was that my test in my lab that I came up with when they by Jimmy rigging a vacuum chamber out of a plastic cat litter box, container with a hole drilled in the side of it, and to put a vacuum on it. And by moving the lid up and down a little bit, I can control what the maximum altitude's going to be.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny.
Hey, it works.
Yeah,
it sounds like it works.
And in the real world, it's like, okay, this works. And so coming up with those things in lieu of actual flights because of all the COVID delays kind of helped move these flight computers along without having the need to fly them, that many of them. So
if somebody wants to test a regular altimeter, a commercial altimeter, that way they can refer back to you, right? And you can... No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Rocketry Forum, man. There's all kinds of plans for those things.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to describe to people what I do. I mean, it's like these are little things that I've come up with because growing up as a kid with, dirt broke family, you had no money to do anything. You just kind of learn how
to be innovative.
Exactly, yeah. So in this case, it's like I looked around online. I saw that you can buy a vacuum chamber, but I'm not going to spend thousands of bucks for one.
Oh yeah.
So I've watched enough videos on YouTube and looked up what people are making their own, and I got the idea. It's like, oh, okay, if you have a refrigerator condenser,
resilience and resourcefulness,
and I've seen how people do that.
Good
and
job.
It's like, okay, I can build that, but I don't want to spend a whole summer making one of those when I could be testing. So that's when I kept paring it down. So I came up with like a quick and dirty way to make it happen.
Wow.
I've done a shop vac in a box. I mean, the same.
Yeah, same idea. So yes.
Too cool.
So we go on to demo 2, which I teased about in the last episode. And like I said, you hit the button, the rocket's going, and it's up to the electronics. And if the electronics failed, you would know because the motor had a stupid long delay, like 14-second delay on it or something like that.
Like the max delay, right?
Right. So I just told everybody, if you see the rocket nose over and it starts coming in, don't freak out. It's just that the electronics didn't do what they were supposed to do for some reason, and it's going to be a late deploy. And because this rocket Mr. Bean was not built to be a dual deploy. It's just it was built to be a motor deploy rocket. So what I did was to put some terminals on the bottom of the payload section of Mr. Bean, and I just hung an initiator with one of my centrifuge designs off of that.
Okay.
So that it was just hanging into the parachute bay. So if the computer worked and it set off the charge, it would just pressurize the rocket and push out everything. And then the main parachute was being controlled by a chute release.
Oh, okay.
So that
I like it.
Yeah. So if we went up in apogee and you see the rocket deploy somewhere around apogee, the electronics worked. And if anything else, it didn't. So while Gheem,
but you still had the backup to bring it back home.
Exactly. You always got to have some kind of a backup. That's my thing. So with Gheem radioing stuff, I'm watching it. I'm hearing Gheem just calling off, what he's saying, because the telemetry coming back from the rocket, it tells you everything it's doing. So it tells you that it's just armed after it verified that it's in flight. Then it arms the apogee charge, and that's the first thing it tells you. Then when it's at apogee, you'll see that it actually fired the charge when you see the continuity go out. So it's radioing back the continuity status of all the charges and everything at the same time.
So there's this little box with lights on it, and lights go up, go on, go off. It's like, wow, okay.
Wow.
And they're all labeled. So
then, Gheem, you're literally being the voice of the telemetry, right? You were being the Kate, so to speak.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, I
Wow,
was
you were
watching
calling
the
that off
numbers.
just like that.
Yeah, Gheem was watching the screen. He saw none of the flight. He was just watching and radioing what he saw.
I've got
I didn't
to
even
go
see the thing go
fly
up.
with you guys. I've got to go out there and fly with you guys at least once or twice. Next year,
You
I'll
wanna-
be out there a few times.
You want to be
Yeah.
mission control.
I got to see this. This is too cool, guys. I mean,
It was fun. I mean, I missed the flight itself, which I always enjoy, of course. But it was cool because it was something totally different, and I had a job to do. I had to get this data
yeah,
to
exactly.
CG. Had my
So
little
then, was CG
walkie-talkie.
calling back to you? Were you calling back to Gheem and saying, "Yep, it's right here. Yep, I see it." Or like
when Gheem would
Yeah.
when Gheem would tell me something would happen, I would radio back to him that visually, yes, that's correct. It's it happened. So when it came to that Apogee deployment, it was way better than anything I dreamed it would be. I mean, that was like if Gheem would tell you, I've been hand wringing over this test for months.
sure, yeah.
Fretting and sweating.
It's like, will it?
But you got that satisfied feeling. You were satisfied when you saw that. Oh yeah, I feel you. I feel you.
It deployed it right at Apogee. I mean, it was like so perfect. It was like the slow motion effect that you see when you get the Apogee deployment.
Oh wow!
It's like you see the puff and everything just slowly. It's like,
and I got to say the word nominal a few times, so I was getting off on that.
Exactly.
Deployment nominal.
Too cool.
And then the next part of what Jim does that I tell him to do is when the rocket's coming down, it's still telling you how high it is. So we know when the main parachute's going to deploy. So Jim starts radioing the current altitude so that we know when to expect the parachute to come down.
Oh, wow. Oh, and you're seeing this in real time.
Yes.
Being transmitted from your device that you created back to Gheem at Mission Control.
Yes.
Who is not visually watching the launch, but watching the monitor on the laptop that you had in front of you.
Yes.
Yep.
This is amazing stuff.
And the other...
there was there was a laptop and there was a controller box that the antenna was hooked into. So I was actually watching more of the controller box because it had brighter visuals, so I could actually see when something happened.
Okay.
I could see the altitude easily enough.
Yeah, because you got sun and all that other stuff in your eye. Okay. Yeah,
So the controller box was like, okay, Apogee happened. This is going. Okay, the next light, it says it's armed. Blah blah blah. So I was just following the lights, and when the light went on or off, that's when I would let them know. And then as it was coming down, every couple 100 feet, I'd give an altitude.
So did the chute release come out at the expected altitude? And did you see the same?
Yes. Now, the system doesn't tell you anything about chute release because chute release is not talking.
It's its own, right?
But but you knowing where it should deploy, you can radio down, the numbers. And when it got near that number that the chute release was set to, which I think that time was like 300 feet or so, no, 400 feet.
300, yeah.
Wow.
I think it was 300.
Yeah, 300 feet or so. So that's when...
So you had like the 100-foot delay from the chute release opening
right.
and the actual... Okay, so you had that happen probably.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Guys, this is really fun.
And it was cool. I thought it was genius to do the chute release, CG, as that secondary deployment because you were just testing the channels.
Right.
And, and I thought that was the best, like the most easiest and simplest solution for this whole thing was to have that chute release. That was well thought out. Very well thought out.
Why, thanks. So what we're going to do real quick, we're going to take a quick break here, then we're going to come back and continue on because there's demo 3 on the way.
Yeah, yep.
But there's still a few more things to wrap up on demo 2 here that we're being tested.
Okay.
So we'll go over that right after this. You're listening to The Rocketry Show on TheRocketryShow.com.
North Coast Rocketry, one of the first high-power rocketry kit companies ever, takes advantage of over 30 years of high-power experience by a world-class rocketeer. You can look to North Coast Rocketry to expand your high-power rocket fleet. In addition to great kits, North Coast Rocketry also stocks lots of must-have items and accessories for every rocketeer's workshop. Find out more about these kits and other great products today. Go to northcoastrocketry.com. And while you're there, don't forget to get their latest catalog, northcoastrocketry.com. Advanced rockets that are easy to build, fun to fly, and look great on display.
It's time for eRockets. eRockets.biz is your home for unique model rocket kits as well as the world's largest selection of rocket parts from Simrock. They've been in business since 2009. eRockets doesn't just stock many of your favorite in-production kits. They also include their own versions of popular out-of-production models that many of you have come to enjoy over the years. And Jesse, what have you found?
Hey, CG. So when I first started looking at high power rockets, one of the manufacturers I discovered was Mad Cow Rocketry.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to think that one of the favorite rockets for any hobby rocketeer is going to be the Patriot. So taking a look at erockets.biz, I saw that they have the Mad Cow 4-inch diameter Patriot. And it looks like they have a few in stock. So this particular Patriot has the 3-in-1 Ungave nose cone, which as far as I can tell is like one of the most like to scale for the Patriot that I've seen for a rocket kit.
Mm-hmm.
This particular rocket is around 44 ounces and it's just right around 52.5 inches long. So, looking at like your old school Estes Patriots, this is probably the closest high-powered kit that is reminiscent to that Patriot. It does come with decals, and of course with all Mad Cow rockets, this one comes with the tubular shock cord, slotted airframe, decals, rail buttons, 1/4-inch plywood fins, and this one actually does have 2 pieces of the body tube, so you could add electronics bay if you wanted to.
Nice.
This rocket is just under $100. And at that price, I feel it's a pretty great value. And right now, they have a few available at erockets.biz.
All righty. And if you need parts for your own custom builds, that's not a problem at all. erockets.biz also supplies the Semrock line of airframes, nose cones, centering rings, motor mounts, and so much more. eRockets has more rocket parts available than anyone on Earth. Check out erockets.biz today to learn more. erockets.biz. If rocketry scares you, buy a train set.
People know that train sets are more expensive, right?
Depends.
They are, but but if you're scared of rockets,
yeah, I guess you got to stay in your basement and build a train set.
Yeah, that's right.
Stay on your track.
Good one.
The Rocketry Show would like to thank the following patrons for their support: Timothy Mock, Jeff Curtis, Phil Bridges, Scott Masters, Roy Tyson, Rob Hoge, R. Smith, Gary Dow, Jay Pullman, Don J., G. Smearden, M. Erzman, Pierre Marlowe, Jeff Curtis, Brian Laputo, Philip Calvin, Jay Bryan, Casey Anderson, Terry Dancer, Mark Eisenwine, Jim Wilson, Jason O'Scally. If you wish to show your support and become a patron of The Rocketry Show, just visit us at patreon.com/The Rocketry Show.
Welcome back to The Rocketry Show, TheRocketryShow.com, CG, Gheem, and Jesse. And we're on a detailed discussion about my last rocket test, which I called Demo 2, with Mr. Bean and my electronics, my, self-design and all that fun stuff. So we were in the wrap-up phase of the Demo 2 test here.
This would be the big brain roll your own altimeter show.
Exactly.
Which is awesome.
So my adventures on that, on my road to level 2. So yeah, there was one other item that was being tested I threw into the mix that was not critical to the launch, but it was one of those little things I thought would be kind of cool, and that I made like a mini handheld base station, little antenna that picks up the signal from the rocket and it just displays some basic data like altitude and current altitude, and I can hit a button and it'll tell me the GPS location of the rocket. Because that's the other thing. There's a GPS receiver on the rocket, and that's being transmitted down the data stream as well in real time as to where it is, the coordinates. So the thing that was nice about the little handheld boxes, when I went to arm the rocket, I could see right away when the electronics powered on. Okay, electronics are running. I've got continuity on everything. So when I'm looking at that, then Gheem is radioing back to me, we've got continuity. Everything looks nominal. That was his first nominal, So...
I was geeking out. That's great.
So while he was shouting out the current altitude and all that, I was looking at the rocket and glancing at the handheld thing at the same time, just to see how it was received, how it was behaving, and it was getting a signal for the rocket the whole time. And I got the signal up until the point where it landed in the soybean fields. And because I'm at ground level with the handheld unit, it lost line of sight with the rocket. But base station where Gheem is, I have the antenna about 10, 15 feet up in the air. So it's never lost contact with it.
And I was getting signal, and it was like actually close to where I was on, in the parking area off the flight line. So I actually saw it and I knew exactly where it landed.
Yes.
I
Oh,
could see the
wow.
parachute on top of the soybeans at the time. So he didn't have to worry about it. I just started going after it. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was
Yeah. Too cool, guys.
so that was
That sounded like a fun day. Yeah.
yes, it was.
absolutely.
So we've got to come
So what's next? Yeah. What's next, CG?
So by the time you hear this show, Gheem or somebody and I will be doing in the process of demo 3 with Mr. Bean again, and this one here would be testing out the operation of a more complicated telemetry stream coming from the rocket. So added in addition to the data that's already in there, now coming back from the rocket is the current time from the GPS satellite.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll also do another run through of the Apogee deployment just to make sure that it still behaves the way it did on Flight 1. And I've updated the mission control system a little bit. So now I have a nice big monitor, a 24-inch monitor with a Raspberry Pi bolted to the back of it. So
Love it.
So you get a little more lumen, a few more lumens out of the screen versus the laptop for looking at it during the daytime. Plus, it's bigger, and you can do a better job angling it. So that's the mission control setup. Yeah, so those are the big things. And so what this is doing, what this code is the first step to being able to start logging data, so I can look at that data that we're getting later.
Right.
Because right now the data is just what's happening right now. When the flight's over, that's it. There's no way to look at it again. And so demo 1, I pointed a video camera at the screen. So Andrew was doing all the chatter, but if I wanted to see what it was like, I just looked at the video later on. And that's kind of what I noticed, all the anomalies. I did not do the video on this flight because of just where the sun was. It was just like, I'm not going to bother with this.
Yeah.
It was just pain in the butt. So yeah. So
Okay.
now
Now are you going to output to like a CSV file just so you can dump into a spreadsheet, or what's your format going to be for that?
okay. So
for acquisition?
and that is in the actual logging tests with the actual software to log and hardware is set for right now demo 4. So demo 3 is just looking at the load, and I think it's going to be fine because I was testing it for a while. But this in-flight's always the way to tell.
Yeah.
Just make sure that stuff still works the same way it is and that the signal stays strong for the whole flight. But when it comes to demo 4, when I'm logging, the idea is to put onto the controller box a little SD card reader writer. And you just, there'll be a slot in the back to plug the SD card in, and it'll write in a data format that's sort of like an CSV file. It'll be probably something I come up with customized that it can convert to CSV. I don't know. I haven't decided just exactly what form it's going to be, but the idea is to write that data to the card as it's coming off the rocket. And as I tweak the data logging code,
makes sense,
and get it working to where I'm happy with it, that code base is what will end up being on the flight computer in the block 6.
Okay.
Because that's the one piece in block that's missing right now is non-NVRAM to be able to write log data that from the flight computer on the rocket. So the idea being is when it's all said and done, the rocket will be logging stuff and the ground station will be logging that same data locally to the SD card. So,
backup.
Yes.
Yep. Wow. Impressive, man. That's some cool stuff.
So yeah, that's the demo missions. And there's a series of them that I have coming up. So that I'm planning out. So there's what's officially planned out is demo 4. Then demo 5 would be doing all the same tests as demo 4, but it's going to be on a different rocket. And it'll be another rocket I inherited from Andrew. And it's named Fainter of Goats.
Awesome.
And that's a skinny rocket, skinny light rocket. Then you put an H-180 or I-200 in that puppy, it'll scoot and push to the idea is to push as close to the limit of the system as I can, or at least get it like twice as high.
Okay.
which will be at that field, will be pushing it close to a mile. You can't quite do a mile, but it'll be closing.
Right.
And technically the system is supposed to be good for 2 miles. So,
Well, you're going to find out, aren't you?
yes. So that'll be the big test. And then demo 6 will be another big test. And while we're not going for altitude necessarily, but that's when we roll in Ares, which is the new, the sister rocket to Nezuru, which has flown twice. But I'm going to be rebuilding the AV section of Ares to be able to use my flight computer stuff in there and telemetry. And that's going to be the first real dual deploy test of the whole thing.
So when you rebuild your AV bay, do you you don't retrofit what you currently have? You just build another one and then just swap them out as you need to?
On Ares, I built Ares with the idea of being able to fly this system in it, but the system was nowhere close to being done. So I had to kind of lick my thumb and hold in the air and kind of guesstimate what it's going to be like. So I knew it'll probably end up being something where there'll be circuitry where you need 2 doors because there'll be circuitry on both sides of the board. And that's how it came out. But the way I built Ares, that's a little too small. So I have to make it a little longer, but I don't want to make Ares longer. So there's going to be 2 changes to 2 sections in Ares, which is where the modular rocket stuff comes in fun. So,
got it.
So
that's the question I was getting at, I guess. It makes sense. I remember you speaking about the modular before in the previous episodes. Okay.
So the AV section is going to be a little bit longer, and the baffle section for the parachute deployment is going to be a little shorter on Ares. So,
got it.
Because
I'm looking forward to seeing all this, man. This is really, really cool stuff. It's above and beyond what I'm doing.
It's it's got to be something fun. I mean, I know I can do a level 2 and just slap a motor in a rocket and parachute and shoot lease and get it. And it's like, yeah, but where's the fun in that?
Well, it's like we suggest to listeners, right? You got to do something that's fun for yourself. This is obviously a road that you want to take, and it's a goal that you've set for yourself that it sounds like you're going to be able to achieve. And we all support you with this, man. This is fantastic stuff. I mean, the nerves that sit in just to do a motor deploy for my level 2, I'm still getting over that. And that was almost 2.5 years ago. So, the fact that you're doing this, and I understand that you want to get this done so that, it's flawless by the time you do the certification, and you don't have to do a dual deploy for level 2. But, the fact that you're doing that, it's a goal that, we're all rooting for you, man. This is really, really cool stuff. Right?
Thanks.
I mean, I'm seriously geeking out about this.
Oh, and there's another aspect too that just came to mind looking at my notes here. I think by the time Demo 4 goes around, yes, Demo 4 will also have the mock locking feature.
Yes. Okay.
Because that's the one thing it does.
What's mock locking?
Okay. Now, one of the things you have to take in consideration, especially if you're going to do a level 2 rocket, where you might be crossing Mach 1 if you put the right motor in it.
Okay.
The one thing that happens with your rocket is that as you cross Mach, the shock wave basically will travel over the airports, for sensing altitude for a barometric pressure sensor. And when that happens, it could pull. It can disrupt the pressure in such a way where it could fool your electronics into thinking you've hit apogee and you're going up at Mach 1.
Okay.
That would be bad.
Yes, that would be bad because you'll be deploying parachutes and everything at Mach 1. So basically you have to come up with a way to ignore what's going on for a period of time. And that's one of those things that I was kind of rolling around how to do that exactly. For a while, but I come up with a way I want to test. So.
All right.
Any details on that, or is that secret?
I'll probably talk about it more after I see it go, but it seems to make sense now.
That's fair.
But when that test goes, like Gheem or whoever at Mission Control will know that it put itself in Mach lockout, and that's something that you don't wait until you get the Mach for. You want to do that before. So at the highest, peak velocity, it'll start the Mach lock. So I guess that's detail with that.
No.
So it'll tell you when it does it on the way up, and it'll tell you when it's out of Mach lock. So
cool. Wow.
And that's going to be the big test. So if it goes into it and comes out of it and then deploys a parachute, then you know that, okay, that works.
I hope I'm on the ground station at that point because I want to say Mach lock nominal. That would be awesome.
Nice.
You've got the terminology. Gheem may have to write the book for future mission control people for my level 2.
Yep.
Hey, I'll be your crayons, man.
Yeah.
So before you sit here, you have to have training from Gheem.
Right.
So
now why am I doing all this?
Nominal 101.
I didn't really talk about why I'm doing all this besides it being really cool. One of the things that makes my booty hole pucker when I look at level 2 launches is when they start, no matter how big the rocket is, by the time it's 2 miles in the air or whatever, or anywhere close to it, even a mile up, you really can't see what's going on with the rocket.
Right. No, you lose it after about 3,500 feet. It's gone. You can't see shit.
And people are just kind of like, and I'll grab that one.
Thanks.
Note to self, that was about 3400. Okay. Anyway, so one of the things I like about when I'm flying like level 1 and everything is that I can watch the rocket the whole time and know what to expect. And if you got to tell people to run for it, you can say that. Where in the level 2, you don't really know what's going on until it's within range. And if it's coming in ballistic, and you're looking,
you'll hear it, but you won't know where.
Right. And if you happen to be looking at it, because it could arc and come back the other way, so everybody's got to pay attention. So I would like to at least know that, with some indication that, okay, you had your apogee deployment and separation was good. Oh, and that's the other thing with demo. I think we're going to add into demo 3 is the sensor for sensing separation. So
okay.
So when you see the charge go and the continuity goes off, you also see the light for separation turn on, which tells you the rocket's no longer in one piece. It's 2 pieces on the tether.
Okay.
So, and those are critical things, because at that point I can rest assured if my mission control guy tells me, okay, you've had apogee event and your separation's nominal. It's like, okay, good. We're looking for the rocket on tumble or on drogue, whichever way it's going to be. So
got it.
And hopefully
there's only a few manufacturers that even have anything similar to this now, right? So I mean, this is a kind of groundbreaking, rocketry as it goes. I mean, wow, that's once again.
I don't know of any
impressive.
Electronics that'll give you a separation, like in real time like that. I think this is like bleeding edge stuff. I don't know of any commercial thing that's out there. There might be some guys that have done some stuff like that, maybe.
Sure. Okay.
I haven't heard anything.
Not something you can buy yet. Okay.
And that's
this is first time stuff, man.
And that's a trick that's been going on since Nesru's telemetry. That was the one piece of telemetry. Well, the Nesru's telemetry system, the way I jury rigged it in, is that it gave you the status of the initiators. So it gave you continuity coming back, so you knew when they went out. And it also told you when there was a separation event with Nesru. And it all worked. But I never had anybody in mission control because you could always see Nesru no matter what. It's the highest it can ever go is to 2,500 feet. Because it's such a heavy rocket.
So it was eyes on to begin with. All right. No, this is good stuff, man. Yeah.
So it was just a practical test of that. It worked. Okay, cool. So that just kind of carried forward in projects as it became more advanced. So yeah. So yeah, that's my the road to level 2 project and where it sits at the moment right now. This was originally set out to be like when I said I'm going to go for my level 2. Just like when I went for my level 1, I gave myself 2 years to work out the tech for it and the rocket and build the rocket up and be ready for it. And Nesru pretty much happened 2 years on the nose, which I'm another thing I'm proud of. It's like yes, and I
hit the timeline.
And I wasn't rushing. I just kind of guessed at what it would take, how long it would take for me to do this at the speed that I'm going and all. And it was kind of cool that I guesstimated right. So the level 2 has
just like NASA.
Yeah. Well, no, NASA's always way beyond.
But they do like to keep on time when they can.
Yes, when they can. So there's a similar thing with a level 2, although there's a little bit of a fudge factor on it because I haven't fully decided on what the launch vehicle design is going to be yet. So
okay, so you still got to work out that whole part of that. Well, yeah, that'll be fun too. That'll be the another side of a project for sure.
It's in progress. I think I'm in about a month or so. I'll have my rock sim for it. But what I think it's going to be, it's going to be ripping off some aspects of Andrew's rockets. Since I've been flying them, I've been watching his rockets fly, and I've got a few that I've been flying, and the way he balances that stuff out, they fly really nice. And, you know, with the fins and stuff. So there's going to be some aspect of it that's going to look kind of Mr. Beanish / Fainter of Goats-ish like. Because I've been simming what he's doing, and it's like, oh, okay. This might be nice. Because it's not about making... When I go for a certification, the one place that I don't really like to play games with is a design. I like to go with something I know is going to fly well,
right?
Upscale it, and I just concentrate on the other stuff that I want to add to it, like the electronics. So
sure.
That's why all my cert flights have been Archers.
And that's why Nezru and Ares are basically scaled up versions of the 3-fin Perseus design that we were talking about before the show began. But each one of my rockets has a project name and a like a code name, which is the rocket name. So Perseus is the code name for Nezru and the BT-60 designs that came before it, and the actual rocket design is XR6. So yeah. And I think I gave the XR15, I believe, is the rocket name reserved for the level 2 rocket. So there you go.
Cool.
Yeah.
Woo.
That's what I've been up to.
That's
thanks a lot, right? For So listeners who are hearing this right now, I mean, you're going to have some questions, right? Don't be afraid to go to TheRocketryShow.com and leave us, if you look over on the right-hand side of the page, you'll see a thing that says send voicemail. Yes. That's our link to SpeakPipe. If you can leave us a offline voicemail there, we'll get those and then we can answer your questions on the next episode. Because, I mean, we really invite some people to ask CG some more questions because there's a lot of stuff that he talked about that's still over my head. And if you guys are wanting to know, then let's ask him some questions because we'd love to have him answer those. So thank you for listening and, follow that link and ask him questions, y'all.
Yes. That was a lot of it. This is actually kind of, I had fun. I'm glad that we decided to do it. It's hard for me to get myself to talk in that much detail about something I'm working on because I'm just kind of quiet about it normally.
Oh, I had fun asking you the questions and seriously listening about this because this seriously has my peak of interest. Yeah, I don't think you guys realize. Like we chat about stuff like this, offline, off of the Rocketry Show and having our discussions here, and we are all in a group chat and we talk, and he'll send us some pictures of stuff, and we're right in the middle of our workday. We don't get a chance to look at it until we sit down and look at it in the evening. And then all of a sudden we're like, what is this? What are you wait, what is this? What are you doing? So then the fact that you get to reiterate this, for everybody else to understand, it's fantastic. So thanks for taking the time to do it too, CG.
Oh, no
This
problem.
is good stuff, man. Seriously.
And the other thing to realize too is that the entire existence of the Rocketry Show up until now has been happening in between these two major projects. So when I started the Rocketry Show was after I got my level 1, and it was kind of routine, but I was quietly working on the beginnings of this with the level 1 rockets, and now it's ramped up into full steam for level 2.
Oh yeah.
So this is another reason why you didn't really hear me say much between the two. A lot of my energy was focused on getting the show established and running, and then other life things got in the way. But now that I'm starting to swing back into this project, I guess for the first time, listeners are hearing me in the midst of a major rocket project.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been, this is because usually, we're getting other guests on or talking to everybody else. And you haven't had a chance to really, or the desire to really talk about something until you came up with where you are. And hitting that all up, that was the turning point for the project for you. I think it's just that seeing the smile on your face that day was just amazing.
Oh, yes.
Because it worked, everything, and all the years that I've quietly watched you from the sidelines doing all this stuff, going, how the hell is he doing? What? Why? Trying to figure it out without being nosy or, being a jerk. Just kind of, so just being respectful. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. You're right. And Jess, it's just, it's incredible that you're coming up with all this stuff because you're rolling your own from start to finish. I mean, the only thing that's missing is making your own propellant for it. at this point.
That's true.
Right?
That is true.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and ask. So, Gheem, have you been doing any propellant stuff lately? What have you been working on?
Actually, nothing like that, like what we just talked about. So it's going to be kind of like a deflation. Actually, I've been doing some more 3D printing. I've been delving into...
You know what? Hold on to that for a second, because I'm going to do another break here for the stuff, because it's hard. Time flies. I'm looking at the time. So, all right, we're going to take a break on The Rocketry Show. We're going to come back, and we're going to see what the rest of the gang is up to on our workshop episode. We'll be right back right after this.
Hey, all you rocket geeks out there. Do you like doing in-flight videos of your flights? And do you ever use those keychain cams and unfortunately sometimes only get videos of your thumb? Hey, this is Gheem from The Rocketry Show, and that used to happen to me. I used to use those old keychain cams only to get nothing very good quality. But I found a solution to that, and it's Insane Rockets. It's an app that's available on the Google Play Store for Nexus 5X and higher. Now get this, it does 4K video. But not only that, it'll upload it automatically to the cloud and provide you real-time telemetry while tracking your rocket through Google Earth. It is amazing. Available on the Google Play Store. Insane Rockets app. It's crazy. No, wait. It's insane.
We're up to Serious Rocketry. Serious Rocketry since 1998, providing the Rocketeer with great kits, motor, supplies, and more. They have lots of products in their ever-growing web store with fast shipping, wide selection, and courteous service. Gheem has been shopping around, and what did you find?
Always shopping around at Sirius. Well, you know, there's a classic rocket, and we've been talking about stuff and going over things. There's one that stands out as being the premier mid-power rocket, and that's the Aerotech Initiator. Now, I know that there's like some talk about like an upscale or anything, and it kind of got me excited. And the thing that I love about the Initiator is the fins. The shape of the fins is something that if you see it, you'll know what it is, and you will never forget it. And then when you fly one, you'll realize why it's such a cool kit. It is a 2.6-inch diameter body tube with molded fins. It's those really cool fins that got kind of a cant on them that make it just scream cool. It's got the aluminum motor mount that comes with it, the new one from Aerotech, which is very nice. And it's got the color-coordinated decals and the no-wadding ejection system, which is also part of the Aerotech line, and the fin lock system, which is pretty cool. If you've never built an Aerotech rocket, check out the fin lock system and the no ejection wadding recovery system, which is actually very cool. So this rocket flies on anything from an E up to a G. So it's a perfect entry into mid-power and beyond. It's about 39 inches long, 2.6-inch diameter, weighs about 14 ounces. So if you slam a G into this thing, it's going to go. And right now it's on sale for $67.99 from Serious Rocketry.
Alrighty. And when you order that rocket, you're going to need motors, right? And so you can get
Lots
that.
of motors.
Serious Rocketry has motors and hardware in stock and ready to ship from Estes through Aerotech, High Power. And you can order all that stuff. And when you're looking on the website, you can always know where it is, because Serious Rocketry's website features real-time stock tracking, which lets you order with confidence from their online store. No having to call or write to see if something is really in stock. While you're there, you might as well check out their club specials as well. Visit their websites at siriusrocketry.biz and .com. Serious Rocketry, for the serious Rocketeer. Lock Precision Rocketry manufactures a full line of high-quality precision fit components to meet your building, repairing, and customizing needs. Lock Precision believes in making rocket kits as light as possible while maintaining the strength required to fly with commercially available motors. Lock Precision offers a wide range of rocket kits from the 1-inch diameter Lock 1 series to high-power rockets reaching 7.6 inches in diameter. When you visit lockprecision.com, be sure to check out their Performance Series kits, featuring such designs as the Black Brand 10, the Caliper ISP, and the 3.1-inch diameter Iris rocket. All of Lock Precision's performance kits comes with everything you need, including pre-slotted airframes, high-grade precision-cut plywood fins and components, as well as ripstop nylon parachutes, rugged shock cords, polypropylene nose cone, and instructions. The name Lock Precision has been synonymous with mid and high-power rocketry for over 30 years. Check out lockprecision.com to find out why. Lockprecision.com. Fly higher. Fly Lock.
The Rocketry Show would like to thank the following patrons for their support: JohnRocket.com, Jason Rodney, Sean Falkenham, Joe S., Paul Oliveri, Sam Feinberg, Michael Aylward, Brian Scheckenberger, E. Huddle, John Thompson, Mark McBride, Doug Wade, C. McCauley, Carl Hunting, the Piedmont Student Launch Team, Steve S., Tim Hoagland, Dave Simmons, FusionRockets.biz, Jay Kirschler, Christopher Short, Kelsey Black, Brian Renneker. If you wish to show your support and become a patron of The Rocketry Show, just visit us at patreon.com/TheRocketryShow.
Welcome back to The Rocketry Show at TheRocketryShow.com. CG, Jesse, and Gheem. And we're doing the workshop episode, going into detail on what we've been up to. I just got done with a long discussion on
and amazing
on the stuff I've been up to, and so now we're going to see what everyone else is up to. So I believe, Jesse, you wanted to talk to Gheem about?
Yeah, Gheem. So one of the last comments that you made here with CG is about the only thing he hasn't done is made his own motors yet. So that leads me to a question with you. Have you been making any motors lately, or what kind of stuff have you been working on?
No, I haven't done any of that. I did pick up a mixer unit from Chris Pearson.
That's right.
So
Nice.
I've got that.
Okay.
I'm starting to collect the pieces parts for that. But
so is this like the mixer unit I need to take from my wife to start making EX motors?
It's like the high end commercial KitchenAid thing. It's all like steel and weighs about 50 pounds.
I'm going to interrupt real quick because there's a funny side story that Gheem knows nothing about. When you went to get the mixer from Chris Pearson, you're coming back with it, and my mom and brother were there because they wanted to see this big test too. And my mom was looking at you carrying that mixer, goes, "Oh, I've been wanting to get one of those mixers for me myself, but they're expensive." And I was like, and I told him, I said, "Well, he's not making any food with that. He's making rocket propellant with those." And so she looked at me like, "He's doing do what?"
So let me interrupt real quick on this too. I'm sorry, Gheem. But so
that's awesome.
My wife, one of the things that she said is like, with my bonus this year, I'm going to buy me a KitchenAid mixer. And I'm like, okay. So in the back of my head, I'm thinking, okay, so next year, that's what I'm going to get you for. That's what I'm going to get you for Christmas, because I'm going to wind up taking yours, because by that time I'll be wanting to do some EX stuff. Okay, so anyway, Chris got you an old mixer.
It's all about the mixer.
It's all about the mixer.
Yeah, so it's all. So I brought that back. I'm starting to collect the parts for it. I've got some formulas, and I've got all the software I need, like Burn Sim and some of the other software to help me figure out some of this. And I've got some good research. Like people that I can talk to. I mean, I've got Steve Eves and Chris Pearson, that are willing to give me any kind of assistance I need as far as I delve my toe into this. But so I am backed up by some serious players on this in this realm of rocketry. But my job is kicking off because I work at a school and with everything going on. So right now I've been focusing on my rocketry team and trying to get them up and running. So for personal projects, other than getting my stuff together to delve into EX, I've been doing some more 3D printing and getting back into the complex building of rockets. Like an example is I've got an old Launchpad Nike Hercules kit that's been sitting around for a while, and it's a serious builder's kit, right? So I have the airframe built, and the bottom fins for the booster section are supposed to be made from cardstock and balsa wood. And I was looking at that, and I hit a block on that like 2 years. I'm just like, I could build these things, but I don't know if, because I want to put an H motor in this thing.
Sure.
And I was like, I don't know about those
cardstock,
right? Yeah, cardstock and balsa wood. I could fiberglass it maybe, but it would hold up. I mean, So I bit the bullet on it, and I went and got some of Jack Hydrazine's designs, which he's got a ton of them out there. Which we all,
he does.
If you're into the 3D part of the rocketry, you'll know that name.
Yes.
And he had some Nike Hercules fins, and I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. They're about the right size. They're a little bigger, which is fine because I could scale them down. But so I printed off one or two just as a test, and then went through like the right temperature to get them and what kind of infill I wanted, which is the infill is the pattern that's inside the layers. Now, if you know anything about the Nike Hercules, it's got a thick fin that's thicker in the middle, and then it tapers off on each end.
So if you look at if you're looking at it and on the profile, so like a diamond shape.
Exactly. Yes, and it's got a line
okay.
right in the middle of it.
Right.
So it's a thick fin in the middle, and I was trying to find the right infill. So I'm sitting here making small test runs and hitting them with a hammer. Giving my kid a hammer and saying, "I want you to hit this like there, and see if you can break it." So, and I tested about 4 or 5 different infill designs because I wanted to find the strongest thing possible, and I ended up finding one so that would suit the need for it. So I printed off and I'm gluing those on, and I'm going to fiberglass tip to tip them, which is another part of the whole fiberglass thing that you do. Is I'm going to do fiberglass on this Hercules, so I can at least they're not through the wall. So I've got to make sure that they're not going to go anywhere. And the only other solution is to tip it with fiberglass. So I talked to you actually, Jesse, and I got some ideas for the 4-ounce stuff. And so I went online and I bought like 5 yards of the 4-ounce fiberglass fabric from this place for like $20. I think the shipping was like half of that. So I was like, all right, I can do that for 5 yards of this stuff.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds like a good price.
It was like right down the road from where I live. The place is about a half-hour drive. So if I wanted to save the $10, I'd drive there, spend $2 in driving. But I didn't. I ordered it. So
no worries. You got to do what you got to do, right? So
right. So I got that, and I'm just trying to work out now of once I get the fins on here, how I'm going to glass them over. There's 4 smaller tubes that are in a square shape on the bottom booster section of the Hercules. So they basically strapped 4 tanks together and called it a booster, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to figure out how I'm going to shape that fiberglass on these trapezoidal fins over 2 half-rounded sections over paper that has a paper cowling on it. So that's going to be the next step for it. But for me, it's much easier to do that than it would be to make cardstock fins and try and make those work. So, I've got good fins to start with. They're a little heavy, but that's okay because I can always add weight up front, right?
Right.
So that's the biggest project I'm working on for myself. The kids, I'm getting them up and running right now for TARC. With the TARC season, they haven't changed the rules since last season, since there wasn't any finals. So we actually got a couple of our designs and we flew them today, as a matter of fact. So I flew with my team for the first time of this year using our known designs, and we're getting some data on that. So I've been getting those guys up and running, and there's still a couple of guys that are like, I want to do my level 1. And I've got one guy who's doing his level 1 as a dual deploy. So I'm real proud of him. So he's working on the altimeter bays as we speak. Well, he was anyway. So all this stuff on the outside going on, and I still have my Lock Saturn in the box, and I still have my Omega, sitting in the box. But right now, my project is the Hercules. So that's where I'm at. I'm not doing anything too crazy or too out there. I'm just, for me, it's pushing it because I'm working out with the fiberglass on how to go through a complex shape with fiberglass material, and I don't know if it's gonna how good it's gonna look, but I'm gonna go for it and see what happens, and I'll learn from it. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where I'm at right now. Nothing too crazy, but something that's pushing my normal skills.
So that's a lot of the thing too, is, some of the episodes that we had recently, we talked about, after level 3, how you've been getting into some more of the intricate builds, and you just got done doing the, please excuse me if I say it wrong, which F rock, what was that? X15, right?
Yes.
The X15. Yep. The SMG Aero X15. Yeah.
So you just got done doing that. Now that's no joke. Like, I was watching some of the pictures that you shared with that build, and that's what, like a skill level 9. So and you also did some fiberglass reinforcing on that. You made it usable. Yeah. So I'm anxious to hear your launch report on that particular rocket, because seeing how much work you put into that. I mean, level 3 is level 3, right? But I mean, when you start getting back into the modeling aspect, and all of us have kind of already done that. I mean, everybody started off with the smaller model rockets, takes us back to like the topics that Noob talks about in the Model Rocket Show. But all of us are there. And I kind of love how you went from level 3, the big, bad, and the burly, and you kind of go back into the modeling aspect and the intricate builds. Now, there's some guys on some of the web pages that, we have on Facebook and groups, and, some that are even discussing on the Rocketry Forum, where they talk about some of the intricate builds. And how many Saturn Vs did we see built in the last, 3 years total? Ever since, the anniversary and everything.
Yes. 50th anniversary, got to build one. Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, my hat's off to anybody that's spent that much time doing the build, doing the detail, doing the paint. Because taping stuff off to paint is no easy task, and it takes a lot of time, and it doesn't have to be a big burly rocket. I mean, you're going to spend just as much time, if not more, doing things at a micro level, using Tamiya tape and, anything from frog tape to blue tape to whatever tape you find is best. Noob uses Scotch tape, and I got to tell you, man, the guy's builds are intricate and perfect. I mean, then you got some guys with the 10 centimeter rule and some guys with 10 to 10 foot rule. So I like to kind of think of myself as a little bit of both. So, I mean, when you talk about the builds that you do, I geek out on that too, because from a whole modeling aspect, this stuff's hard to do. So, and everybody talks about Estes needs to bring back builder's kits. I mean, you guys can make a builder's kit out of anything you do. And there's so many manufacturers besides Estes that build the intricate stuff. So challenge yourselves to some of those guys. I mean, yeah.
Well, see, the best advice I got from an old rocket guy a long time ago was, you got a bunch of old parts on your bench, I'm sure. Build something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, you know what? Yeah, that's a damn good idea. So, but taking all the skills that I've had, and I'm enjoying every level of this. And this is what I like about rocketry, because it depends on my mood of what I want to do. And that's why I usually have 3 or 4 different projects working at the same time. Like, I've got the motor mount built for the Saturn, but I haven't done much on it right now because I want to focus on the Nike. I can't. Before I did the X15, I finished off the Apogee Saturn V. So, which is another one of those crazy builds. And I'm really enjoying the building aspects lately. And I'm going to be sticking with that, because these are the things that have been motivated by, it's been on my bench, it's half built, I better finish it, because I bought this for a reason, because it's a cool freaking rocket and I'm going to build it, So, and that's where I'm at right now. And given the state of the economy and everything, there is that, as much as I love the big, M motors, they get a little expensive. And that's why I'm starting to dip my toe into EX a little bit and seeing how that goes. And I'm taking my time and enjoying each aspect of it. So, and now that I've got the ability to go anywhere where I want to, that's the thing I really like, is the freedom to say, okay, I'm gonna build an N motor and go with this one, or I'm gonna take the time and build this little micro rocket thing.
Yes,
with 3D printed parts and 25 body tubes all stitched together somehow into a cluster. But
that's fun, man.
I bounce around a lot, but like I said, though, it depends on what I want to do, and other aspects that I don't have any control over. But I'm still going to enjoy my hobby to the fullest extent, and it doesn't matter what it is, as long as I'm doing it. That's what matters to me.
I love it.
Yes.
Thanks, Gheem. That's awesome.
Sure. And speaking of level 3s, now let's come around to you, Jesse. So,
oh no,
you've got some stuff cooking, and it's big.
I do.
So lay it out, baby.
Let me lay it out then. All right, I'm officially going to let you guys in on some stuff that I've been hiding for at least the last 2.5 months.
Okay.
So, my rocket that I'm building for my level 3 is a cardboard, wood, and plastic rocket that is being encased in fiberglass and parts of it in carbon fiber. It is 114 inches long. It is a remnant. It is a parody. It is a prototype. It is it's a variation of a very, very popular series of rockets that have been out for many, many years from a couple of different manufacturers. I don't know who developed the original. I don't really care. All I know is that the rendition that I'm building is huge and awesome, and I'm officially naming it Super Beast.
Super Beast.
Ooh, you have a name.
In a world where all rockets are wimpy, comes one rocket to rule them all.
To rule them all. That's exactly
Beast.
it. That made me feel good. That made me feel good. But check this out. Looking at a fin span of about 31 inches. So it's a beast. It is a super beast. 98 millimeter. It is split fin design. It also is going to have a 34-inch payload and a 68-inch base. So, it's 7.5 inches in diameter. So you can probably already imagine who made those parts. Okay. It is cardboard. It is cardboard reinforced in 6-ounce fiberglass for the body. The fins are cut from a very popular plywood that's used in rocketry. And I'm not going to say who did that, but there's a lot of work that was involved, making the fins. They are a little oversized from some of the other models of the same variation. Okay. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to make sure that when this thing goes up, it whistles no matter what motor's in it.
I was going to say, is it going to whistle or is it going to roar?
I'm hoping a little bit of both, but we're looking for a whistle, right? So, Gheem, I took your advice and I did some sims and I did some weights and I did some property, evaluations here, and we're going to go with an M2400.
Oh, Thunder.
M2400 Blue Thunder, yeah. So I just talked to my vendor today, and he's got the motor on hand. I'm going to meet him sometime beginning of the week or over the weekend to see if I can get that secured in my hands. Yep.
That's a nice 3 grain, man. That's a sweet motor.
Blue Thunder.
I got the casing. I got everything for it. I did order a couple other parts. I need to get some igniters from him as well, and then the forward seal disc. I want stainless steel, just in case. I think I need that one for a Blue Thunder anyway, right? Don't you want to do a stainless steel?
You don't necessarily have to, but it is advisable. Yeah,
okay,
I mean,
so I'll get one of those too, and just make sure I have all parts on hand. The casing that I have for this is a used case. I got this from, once again, another famous Rocketeer whose name I won't mention right now because he's not really into the whole social media aspect of everything. But the aft closure of this casing, for some reason, those 98 millimeter cases that you get that are older, like the Dr. Rockets ones specifically, it seems like the aft enclosure is a little bit almost thinner than the actual diameter, of the motor tube. So I'm not too comfortable with that. Because, back in the day, they literally used to kind of fit these in and then, just kind of secure them, by fit. Yeah, but with tape. So, I mean, they didn't really necessarily need to have that big bulk on the bottom, right? But
need that.
Yeah, comparing this to what, is available, like even Apogee for their 98 millimeter hardware that they have from Aerotech, I mean, I probably want to get a different one. So I will probably replace that and, just make sure I have everything lined up there. I did also order, an M1419 because that's my dream motor. I want to launch something on that, and eventually
that's a 7-second burn, white lightning.
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
So, I mean, the Blue Thunder we want, because once it takes off, it gives it the boost that the rocket needs. Now, this rocket's only going to weigh 32 pounds approximately, so it's not going to need much of a boost. Exactly. No. So that's going to go up there. So here's the problem that I've been having, guys. I've been dealing with which launches are going to be done. I was tentatively going to go for 919. I wouldn't have been ready, but they canceled that launch, a couple of weeks ago because of fire bans in Colorado, so I can't do that there anyway. So I just figured, okay, well, I'll just take my time. I'll shoot for October 3rd. Well, unfortunately, this fire ban goes for 30 days, so that's going to be until the week of October 17th. Now, we're using an M2400 on this rocket. I'm going to break that waiver. That's only 8,000 feet. Not going to be able to do that there.
My friend, it sounds like you're heading on your way to Bama Blast Off.
Stand by. We got some more things going on first. So Alamosa in the San Luis Rocketeers, where NSL is going to be held in 2021. That site is having a launch on October 10th. So that's what I'm looking at tentatively. Working with my L3CC or just whatever taps are available. But my L3CC is also triply tapped, so I gotta make sure that he's available for either, and as long as he can make it down, then we can try for October 10th. If that does not work out, Tripoli, Colorado has a launch that we can also do a NAR certification on October 24th or 25th. And if I don't get it done by then, I will be driving out to Illinois to visit all my friends at Midwest Power, and if I have to do it there, then we'll do it there. Okay, so I have options. I plan on being on level 3. At least by the end of October. Those are tentative, of course, depending on weather and availability and fire bans and COVID and, wildfires and,
Yes.
Now, just out of curiosity for your electronics base, like who are you going with? Like, are you doing like some guys are all Stratologger like me? Some guys do a mix of Missile Works. What are you throwing in your alt base?
So you got to have, dual redundancy for your altimeters. Yep. This will be my 7th flight with dual altimeters. So
absolutely,
I'm no stranger to that. I've been using an RRC2 and an RRC3. For the level 3, I will be using an RRC2 Plus and an RRC3 from Missile Works. On the same bay, because it's so long, and I've already proven that this worked already. My Apogee tracker, my Apogee Simple GPS tracker is also on the eBay sled. It does work. It does not cause any radio interference, which is awesome. So those of you who are looking at Apogee, get it, man.
Nice.
You can spend the money on it, just get it. You know, it is a little pricey, but I guarantee, man, the thing works. And it works within 20 feet of the rocket.
Nice.
No joke.
Nice.
So every flight that I've had with that thing has been pretty spot on. And I've launched it with the Apogee Simple Tracker, let me think here, 9 times total. So this will be the 10th flight with that. And it works. Okay. So if you guys are looking for a good GPS tracker, tried and true. Also, one of the reasons that I support that, and let me talk about that really quick, is Brighton Hooton, who you guys had interviewed back, I believe it was, when you guys were all at one of the NAR events. I can't remember what it might have been. NARCon, maybe? Yeah.
Cape Canaveral.
So you guys met Brian and you had a chat with him and Tim Van Milligan. Back then they were talking about the parachute deployment thing that they're working on.
The paraglider.
They never talked about the
GPS.
Exactly. Right. They've never talked about the GPS tracker, but it's made by the same people and it's, sold by Apogee. And it's great. The product works. And honestly, CG, I think Brian kind of did the same thing that you're doing with the, with the boards. I think he kind of got those the same way, and that's how he's been developing those. So, hats off to you, Brian. You've done amazing work. And George Barnes, who was my level 2 coach, has an Apogee Simple Tracker too, and he loves it. But if you guys are looking for something that can fit on your electronics bay, it is a simple, proven process. It does work. No interference whatsoever, and it's 20 feet to the rocket, if even closer. So
nice,
cool.
Anyway,
good
level 3. So Super Beast. In my stages right now, I'm about 80% done with it. I'm just doing external fillets, and I'm taking my time because I want them to look perfect.
Right.
I fiberglassed, the thing initially, and I kind of messed up in the middle, kind of where the tip of the wings are for the forward wings, fins, not wings. They're big enough to be wings. I guess that's why I say that.
Seems like it. Yeah, when you're doing that, yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of messed up the front of that a little bit, and I just kind of put some more fiberglass over the top of it and reinforced it. Now it looks kind of cool because I have the mesh of the fiberglass showing where the forward part of the forward fins are, and it looks amazing. It looks like it doesn't look like the rocket came that way. Yeah, it looks like I meant to do it, and that was totally by accident. So I'm excited for people to see that. The fins, like I said, I laminated in carbon fiber, and I did that in a pretty traditional way. I didn't use a vacuum sealer or a peel ply or anything like that. I used the same method that I use for fiberglassing and laminating fins. The leading edge of the fins I actually did in a carbon fiber mix with 4-ounce fiberglass, because I did have to kind of sand off the carbon fiber in order to put the bevel on the fins that I wanted. So to reinforce those so that, that doesn't accidentally, come apart, which I don't think it will to begin with. But, you just to be on the safe side, I went ahead and put some 4-ounce fiberglass there and, with some carbon fiber reinforced epoxy, and it looks great. I mean, I'm very proud of myself. The carbon fiber, I'm also going to do my decals on the fins, kind of reverse. So I'm going to actually cut my decals and put them on the fin and then paint over it and then peel off the decal so that you see the carbon fiber under it where the decal would be. Yeah,
because that's a cool pattern. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, and then my switch band is 100% carbon fibered. So it's not wrapped in fiberglass, it's wrapped in carbon fiber. And I got a couple pictures of that on Instagram and Facebook that you guys can check out. And if you need some tips on how to do that, I'd be happy to talk you through it. It was a fun process. I had a lot of fun working on that, but it is a lot of work. And I'm finally to the point where I don't want it to be over, because the build is going slow to begin with, but I'm just like letting my nerves kind of sit and, taking a little vacation from work and, and having to deal with some of the complexities of work and then trying to make time to do this build. I did put a pause on everything else, and I had a lot of projects underway. But I want to get this rocket built, and then after that, I'm going to finish, the builds that I had for the hobby stores, and then finish my Cosmic Interceptor that I've had there for 2 years that I haven't done anything with. James Simmons built 2 of them in the time that he asked me to build this one, and I haven't finished it. So I want to get that done. But yeah, that's where I'm at, guys. So wish me some luck, and pass on your good vibes.
Good luck.
Oh, absolutely. And, that's exciting. So let me ask you one question though before you finish off. Now, when you were choosing the motor, how many different thrust curves did you look over, and how many times did you go back into the sims to check and recheck everything? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, every M98 millimeter motor, every one of them.
All the
way to end sizes. Because I just wanted to see. The M1419. To be honest with you guys, I was watching. Not watching. I was looking at John Coker's website. Because I do go to jcrocket.com, and I learned a lot of stuff from John, and I've never met the guy, but someday I hope to. But all the work that he did seems to kind of be like in the 2000s, not really this decade, but a lot of stuff that he did, I feel was really pushed to the limits back then. And looking at his upscale 4-inch 98 millimeter arrow that he built, which is an upscale of the Aerotech arrow, the yellow and black rocket that you guys have seen. That's a kind of a staple. So he built one of those, and he launched an M1419 in it for like his third attempt. And I don't know, there's just something about that picture and seeing the big white puff of smoke coming down out of that rocket that I have embedded in my head, and I can see my rocket sitting on top of that same plume of smoke. So that's what made me want to do an M1419. But then after talking with Gheem and then, thinking, 3-second burn on an M2400 and hearing that whistle the rest of the way up, oh my God, I got to do that too. So,
when I did my level 3, I had a very pleasant surprise when I used the M1845 New Thunder motor. It has a trailing smoke. So it was white. It was a blue flame with white smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
So you may be okay on that, because it's not going to be what you expect when you see that blue flame. It's tracking smoke, or it's something in the formula, at least with the New Thunder. And I believe it's with the regular Thunder too, for the larger, the 98 mil grains, that there's that track on there. And I was pleasantly surprised, because I also did an M4500, and I got the same thing. That was a Super Thunder.
Okay.
So you may get your white smoke after all.
Okay. Well, either way, I'm looking forward to it. And, kind of geeking out and, kind of scared at the same time. But
yeah, I know the feeling.
Yes.
I know exactly what you're feeling, because I was in that period of like, okay, am I sure I'm going to go this motor? Yes, I'm positive it's going to be that. Let me check it again. Just going through that process was mind-bendingly chaotic, and then leading up to the point where, okay, I'm ready to go, and I can't go. Damn,
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
oh man,
I feel it.
I feel your pain.
You will nail it.
I'm hoping so. I don't have anything to prove except for my build technique. I mean, one picture that I do want to take, that I do want to do before we put this rocket in the air, even though it could be treacherous. I am going to stand on that fin can.
He's got to do it.
It's just something I do, and I think I got to get it done. But I have a lot of motivation from a lot of the Colorado people, and I do want to give some shout outs if I can here. A lot of the people from my local club, one of the guys that we work with a lot, his name is Joe, and he just recently got his level 3 in the San Luis Valley down at the last launch that they did for Alamosa, and congratulations to you, Joe. He flew a Black Brant, and
nice.
I believe I can't remember which motor he used. I don't want to misquote it, so I apologize. But got almost 10,000 feet off of that thing, and looking at the picture of that, it was also white lightning, and I got to tell you, it was a beautiful picture. So I have those things embedded in my head, and the success that I have, I'm going to owe to a lot of the guys in my local clubs, because being able to see them do that and have them talk me through some of the process,
Absolutely,
it's heartwarming, really. So
if I didn't have my mentors going through the process, even when I was going for my level 1, if I didn't have that community around me, I never would have done it. Or my buddy Andrew egging me on, and and giving CG giving me tips about electronics and all this other stuff. And then as I moved through the process, talking to Chris and Steve, and just that's what makes this thing so cool. That's what makes what we do so awesome, is the community, and that's something I hold very near and dear to my heart.
Yes,
and that's
so
everywhere.
It looks like Joe launched that Black Brant on an M1350, which I believe is a disposable motor for an M.
Yes.
But it's supposed to be very similar to the M1419.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll share pictures with you guys. But George Barnes took the pictures of these rockets, and we had Doug Gerard, who is famous for doing his videos from the launch pads. So I don't know if you
Yes.
guys have ever seen some of that stuff, but let me share this stuff with you guys, and maybe you can show it to other members of the of the show, because I think that way you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Because like watching a 7-second burn on a motor, I don't know if a 1350's got that. Do you know off the top of your head, Gheem?
No, it's I
think that one's a
it's
5 second or
4?
something.
5? Well, let's see.
Okay.
Let me
But
pull
just
up
looking at
thrust
the
curve.
video, okay, thanks. But looking at the video, this thing going up, like I said, I envision my stuff on there and just like, wow, I want to live that for a day. So, yeah. There's tons of people in our Colorado clubs and, just around, some of the other rocketry clubs that got L1s. I mean, Airfest was held over this last weekend. John Bronner, Robert Jeffrey, and a few people had got their L1s. And over the last couple of months, our Colorado clubs, I got George Tuma, Wansadio, Jason Topfer, David Mihelko, who got level 1 certifications. So I'm kind of proud of those guys because they've been with me. I've been able to sign off on a couple of them, and they've been in our clubs, and I've been able to see like their growth just in the rocketry. And some of the stuff that these guys build is so intricate that it reminds me of UCG. I mean, Jason Topfer has got a lot of ambition to build a lot of his own electronics and stuff like you did. And then, we got some guys that are fiberglassing rockets from, listening to some of the stuff that I've told them. George Tuma, he's actually my old boss. Sorry, George, didn't mean to mention that publicly, but, we talked about rocketry a little bit when we were working together. And now that, we don't necessarily work with each other, we talk about rockets all the time. And it's kind of fun to like see him show me pictures of stuff that he's fiberglass. I'm like, wow, and I'm starting to wonder how many guys have fiberglass just listening to me talk. And, thanks a lot, guys. I mean, all you guys have been pretty inspirational for that.
Yes.
Cool.
Rachel Daigle got her car level 3 for the Canadian Rocketry Association, right? So I believe they have 4 levels. So she's level 3. Now, they might be changing the Canadian rules soon. They might actually become part of RNCCC soon, but I don't exactly know what's going on with all that. But, congratulations, Rachel, as you got your car level 3. And then we also had a few people who got level 3s, in Colorado. Just, you guys are dumbfounding me with how much, you've progressed, even still. So congratulations to everybody that's leveled up. So
cool.
This is fun stuff, guys.
M1315, 75 millimeter reload. So it is a 31% M. It's got a 5.4 second burn time. So you are correct. So it uses the RMS 75. That's the M1315.
Oh, what about an M1350, a 50? Is there such a motor?
Let's see. 1350.
I thought that was a...
Let's see. Is it a 98 mil?
Yes. I thought it was a DMS. Do they make 98 DMS? I'm going to feel foolish if they don't.
I don't see it in thrust curve. So, and I'm just using the iPhone app, so maybe it's not in there. But
yeah, no worries.
All right.
Well,
cool.
Yeah, good stuff, guys.
Yes. So, couple of quick things. One thing that came to mind, and I guess this is kind of funny because it's kind of like maybe it was foreshadowing in a way with me, but as a kid, I think I mentioned on the show a couple of times, as a kid, one of the NASA programs I was always fascinated with for whatever reason was Project Gemini. And and looking back on it, I find that this whole era that I'm in before I make a level 1 or level 2 rocket is kind of like my version of Project Gemini, where I just kind of take whatever rockets I've got laying around and kind of, jury rig in some stuff and to test out the tech that I'm going to use in the real big rocket without, wasting time on the big rocket. So I can, and it's kind of like every time I'm in this thing, I think of, man, this is like the Project Gemini leading up to my level 2. It's like, take the existing rockets, hack them around, hack that ICBM,
How about an M1340 single use?
Ah, okay.
Okay, that's a 5.5 White Lightning, single use 98 mil. So that's close. Anyway, sorry, I had to find that.
We start going back and forth. No, that's good.
So now, for those of you who've listened all the way to this point in the show, some exciting news. Save it for the end. We've opened up a couple new Patreon tiers on the show. And the reason we did that is because we can finally offer you some stuff that people are looking for. So for like $12 a month member of Patreon, after about 3 months at the $12 level, you get a nice vinyl Rocketry Show sticker that you can stick on your your box.
I know people have been asking about that.
Yes, so he finally got that going. So that's a nice little perk for at a $12 a month a member. Again, you have to be committed to it like 3 months on that. And also, I think at the $25 a month level, after a 3-month commitment, you get a Rocketry Show mug.
Yes.
So
all right, I'm signing up for this. I want that mug. I don't care. I don't care if I'm a host on the show. I'm gonna do it. So yeah, I'll look for that on Patreon. Got to have that.
So there you go. So some nice news for all those of you who listened to this long. We've got that. I wanted to throw on the T-shirt stuff, but through Patreon, I can't design the T-shirts that we have. The only ones you can make with them is if you have a big giant Rocketry Show logo on your chest or a little one, and neither one looks right. I like the design that we have, so I have to find a way to get the design that we've been poking around with into some easy to fulfill form factor, and that's the trick. It's easy fulfillment.
Yep.
If there's a will, you'll find the way.
Yeah, I'll keep looking. I've been looking for a while to do that, but I figured, let me look at these other options because I think Patreon can fill those a lot easier, and sure enough, sticker and the mug does work.
Oh yeah, yeah. Thanks for looking at that.
I want some swag.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
Me too.
Level up. I'm gonna level up, guys.
He's gonna level
up my
up.
contributions to Rocketry Show.
Cool.
We appreciate any contributions that you can helps us help keep going and getting the word out there and having a good time and just chatting like we do and getting all our guests together and possibly going on the road, which are some of my favorite stories.
Yes, and speaking of all that, yeah, we thought that this episode would be one where we get to finally test our new gear that we've gotten for on the road.
Yes.
And but our night launch for our club was canceled, so there went that. So we're in the studio doing this again. But first chance I get before the weather gets crappy, I want to try to see if we can get us in the field on location at one of our local launches to test out that new gear because I want to hear how it goes. I was thinking we would have used it a few times by now.
Yeah,
but COVID,
Yeah.
Damn you, COVID. All righty. And on that,
hey, before we end, hang on. Give me two more minutes. I want to make some more mentions of some more people that leveled up recently. Can I do that real quick?
Sure.
Rob Heel, level 3 in July. David Loringer got a recert on L1. Eric Bunkers got his level 1 certification from what I understand. And then Joshua Glad got his L1 too, more than likely on a fiberglass rocket. Hello, Josh. So, yeah, guys, congratulations to everybody who's been able to level up. I mean, it's important for me to talk about that because, we get to see your successes, as listeners of the Rocketry Show, as, people that we talk to every day on the forums, as people that we might ping individually on Facebook Messenger or just even a text message. I mean, congratulations to all you guys. You deserve all it. And, I hope to see you level up all the way. So
all right.
That's all I have to say about that.
That's all that you have to say?
Yeah.
Cool.
For now.
And Gheem, what do you have to say?
Keep your eyes in the skies.
All righty. We'll see you next time right here on The Rocketry Show at TheRocketryShow.com. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Have a comment? We'd love to hear it. Send them to mailbag@TheRocketryShow.com. If you enjoyed what you heard, don't forget to check out our sister show, TheModelRocketShow.com. The Model Rocket Show is hosted by the Rocket Noob and is all about low to mid-power rocketry. TheModelRocketShow.com with Daniel, the Rocket Noob. Check it out today. The views and opinions expressed on these programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Little Beth Entertainment or its sponsors.